Welcome to the Psychic Pinup Podcast, the anything and everything spiritual podcast where we dive into hot topics, readings, viewer questions, and more. Thank you for tuning in. Now, sit back, relax, and let's dive right into it.
Welcome to another episode of the Anything and Everything Spiritual Podcast. My name is Linda. I am also known as the Psychic Pinup, and I'm so excited to be here with you again. Apologies, I seem to have been MIA the last couple of weeks, but you know how it gets. The time gets away on us. I've just been waiting for the right time to be able to sit down and do some more episodes for you. Many of you would know that I'm also working on another podcast with the 4 Pillars of Light. So if you haven't checked that out, you may want to do that also. Lots of discussions going on there, particularly between the 4 of us. 4 different modalities, 4 different facilitators, 4 different personalities, and 4 different opinions, which can be quite interesting. Anyway, over the last month or so, I have been receiving some questions from my lovely listeners, particularly with the last few podcasts. And I've just been saving them for the right time. And I figured the right time is now. And then my next dilemma was, how do I do this? Do I do it all together as one podcast? Or do I break it down? So I sat with it a bit. And then I had some more questions come in. And then I realised that these questions I could group together as subjects. I've broken it down so we have basically 3 podcasts, and I have questions in relation to the 3 episodes that I have done with the podcasts. So I have decided to make 3 episodes with this, so I hope that's not too confusing. Geez, I confuse myself sometimes. I apologise, but sometimes I wish you people could sit in my mind, in my head, and see what goes on. And if you can work it out, can you let me know too, please? What I want to do here is read out some questions in relation to an episode that I did probably last month, I think it was, called Psychic Burnout, Is It Real? And I think I hit a nerve with some people who are developing and also people who are working in the industry. I'll just work my way through these questions, so it'll probably only be a very short episode. One person wrote into me asking me, what are the early signs of psychic burnout? Now for me, that's interesting. Having these questions presented to me has actually made me stop and reflect as well about my own mental health and the burnout that I experience, because I like to keep going and going and going and going. I really push the envelope when I work. I've actually had to stop and reflect on this question, so thank you to the person who sent this question is, what are the early signs of psychic burnout? Well, for me, and I guess I'm speaking for a lot of people here, is when you are finding that you are having trouble concentrating on day-to-day things. Or if you sit down in front of your computer and you have a list of X, Y, Z and A, B, C to get through, and then you find yourself sitting there thinking, now, what am I doing? What was I doing? What am I meant to do? And getting distracted very easily. If you are finding that, or if you are developing or working and you are finding that this is happening to you quite often, I would maybe suggest that you could be moving into psychic burnout. Maybe suggest taking some action to prevent that from happening. Which leads me into the next question. How do you recover when you've overextended your energy in readings or healing work? Now, for me, healing work doesn't really apply to me. I just read, even though technically I heal with words, but I think what this listener was asking about is energy healing. How do I recover? Well, for me, and again, I need to remind myself of this as well. I have a young child school-age child. I have made a rule that during school term, I work. During school holidays, I don't work. In other words, I have approximately 8, 9, 10 weeks of good solid work where could be on the road, doing shows, doing back-to-back readings, doing all the other bits and pieces that's involved in my business. However, when it comes to the school holidays, I don't work, or I do very minimal work. I do make it a rule not to read during school holidays, and here in Australia we have 4 terms. We have what the Americans call the summer break, which for us is at the end of the year. So our kids are on holidays between Christmas, New Year, all of January, and they tend to go back to school beginning of February. So I have a good 6 weeks there, a good 6-week break. The rest of the year is broken up into terms, 4 terms, with a 2-week holiday. For the Americans, vacation, we'll say vacation. I keep forgetting that our holidays, you relate to holidays differently to how we do, but I am talking about the vacation time. End of term, every term is a 2-week holiday for us. I am currently thinking I've got about 5 or 6 weeks left before we look at end of term again, where I will get another 2-week break. I have the luxury of that, knowing that I've got that to look forward to, but that is a decision that I made very early on, and I guess that is a little bit of my saving grace as well, knowing that I've got that light at the end of the tunnel. I only need to get to the end of the term, and then I have those couple of weeks to reset myself again. Okay, so I hope that helps you. This question here, is it okay to say no to clients if you're feeling drained? And how do you do that without guilt? Again, a very good question. This is also for the person who wrote this question. It's a great lesson in itself for you, for me, for everybody else. This is all about boundaries and learning to set those boundaries and sticking to those boundaries. If you are not operating at your optimal best, you are doing not only yourself, but you are doing your client a disservice by allowing the reading to go ahead. There's been a few times of late when I've been at expos and I get towards the end of the day, and particularly where in the morning I tend to be very busy right up until mid-afternoon, and sometimes there's a little bit of a lull there in the afternoon before it will take off again or pick up. Generally, once I stop, it's like I hit a brick wall. What's happened here for me, I have found myself, once I get to that stage, I don't want to read anymore. And then I have people come over to me and say, can you read me? Can you fit me in for a reading? I've actually found myself saying to people, no, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm done for the day. And the disappointment on their face, and I get it. But if I had done the reading for them, I would not have been giving them my 100%. I'm not about that. When I do a reading, I will go into it I'm going to say 110% when I do my reading, and I just felt like I would be doing them a disservice if I had have accepted it. I do give them my card, and I do explain to them that I would be doing them a disservice, and they're okay with that. Generally, they will book in with me at a later date, knowing I've had a good rest. Now, somebody else has written here, do you have a favourite ritual for clearing and recharging your energy? Yes, it's called laying down and having a nap and watching YouTube and mindless TV. I know that sounds just pretty, yep, how you going? But it's bringing myself back down to earth and being a human again. I don't sit there and call all the gods in and spirit and do this and do that and recharge me and do everything else. Sometimes I'll go outside and go for a walk to clear my head. That helps. That actually helps me cut energy. And if that's what you're asking me about, clearing, cutting energy, that's one thing that I will do. But generally I'll come home and I'll just want to be normal. It may involve me turning on and watching mindless TV, and that's okay. You don't need a fancy pants ritual to recharge yourself. And the final question I've got here, how do you keep your spiritual work sustainable for the long term without burning out? Okay, for me that's pretty much the same question in a roundabout way of how do you recover when you've overextended your energy in readings or healing work. I'm going to say this to people, it's about learning what your limits are. It's about, again, setting the boundaries and knowing what you are comfortable with in terms of workload. Now for me, I've just settled into my new premises in Port Kembla. I've actually changed the way I've been doing things, even down to the readings. I will only take one reading on the hour. Before I would jam them in back to back on the half hour. Yes, I could get them out, but that was also creating this, got to get them in, get them out, bang, 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 bang. I've changed the way I've done that, and I will only do readings on the hour. So, for instance, if you've booked in for a 10 a.m. reading, I read for half an hour. That's how long they go for. I will not take another reading until 11 a.m. and then 12 noon. So it won't be 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30. It's only going to be 10 and 11 and 12. Number one, that allows time if my client is running a little bit late, because that does happen, and that does throw the rest of the timings out for the rest of the day. I get it. It happens. Sometimes there's things that we can't control. Number two, it allows for me, if we go over a little bit as well, I just don't get to the half an hour and go, right, that's it, time's up, see you later, thanks for coming. Sometimes people need a little bit more TLC, and if it runs over a little bit, it runs over a little bit. That extra half hour leeway there allows for all of that, and also for me to breathe, reset myself, and also return phone calls and all the other correspondence and communications that have come in during that hour that I've been off the air. That is one way for me to avoid burnout. Realistically, I'm only doing 7 readings a day, 7 readings a day for that. I do question a lot of these psychics who say to me, oh, I do 10 readings a day. I'm thinking, there is no way you can do 10 readings a day for 5 days a week. That is what I call burnout. You may be able to do it, but I will question, are you giving your clients 100% with that? Yes, I know that we do it during these expos, such as the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival and other little expos, but they're few and far between, and they only go for a number of days, a couple of times a year. It's not like you are doing it day in, day out, day in, day out. Now, when I've come off the back end of a Mind, Body, Spirit Festival, generally I will not do anything for a couple of days after. I will sit around, basically in my gym jams, watching TV, grazing, and not doing much, and resetting. But that's how I avoid burnout. I'm sure if you speak to another psychic, they will give you another view on, or their view on burnout and how they avoid it as well. And as I say with people, everything that I say here on my podcasts are my opinion, and there is no right, there is no wrong way. And here we are already. I am getting towards the 20-minute mark just on that subject alone. Psychic burnout, is it real? And the viewers' questions. So I will leave that there. I'm going to tackle these other questions and episodes in other episodes. So thank you for joining me for another episode of the Anything and Everything Spiritual Podcast. Keep those questions coming. Also, let me know if there is anything you would like me to cover in any of my episodes. Thank you, everybody, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye.
You have been listening to Linda, the Psychic Pin-Up. Linda is a psychic medium based on the New South Wales south coast of Australia. You can connect with her via her website, thepsychicpinup.com.au, or join her on her weekly live feeds on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all under the same name, The Psychic Pin-Up. Thanks for listening.